Hello legends and super legends, Elder here. Today being Memorial Day, I decided to do a special video for you guys. I just got back from my ride and something's been on the list for a while that I've been wanting to get out. It's about how to position yourself on the road when you're riding your bike. This is not dealing with bike paths and other stuff. I mean, on the bike path, there are no other road users other than cyclists and maybe walkers or hikers and so forth. So that's kind of different. I want to deal with positioning yourself on the roadway that are used by cars and other road users. So I went ahead and drew some examples of the kind of roads that we normally ride on. On this side, I'm just focused on this half of the board. I drew a boulevard where you'd have like a separated lane in the middle, where you've got like grass and trees and other stuff in the middle, island, okay? You got two lanes of traffic going in either direction. And it doesn't really matter whether you ride on the right side of the road like we do here in the US, or on the left side of the road like you do in Australia, the UK, and other places like South Africa. The key that I'm trying to focus on is, it jumped out at me last week. I was actually driving my car and there was a lady riding her bike. And every time she would be riding, this was a situation where we have the roadway. Let me use this marker. And let's say there are two lanes and she was going this way. Okay, she's going this way. I was in this lane with my car right here. So I'm right next to her and she's in the right lane. This is a separator, the lane marker. And every time there was a driveway, she would ride in the driveway, leave the road, go in the person's driveway, ride there, then come back on the road when the driveway ended. And I watched her do that multiple times. And my wife was with me. I said, you know what? I really need to do a video on the safest way to ride your bike, because this is dangerous. Every time you leave the road, if there's another car behind you, they assume you're done with the road. They're going to just take that space. So she would have been better off, she would have been safer to just hold her position in a straight line. Okay, so take the lane, meaning, you know how there's there's little dirt from the middle of the cars in the middle of the lane. You want to ride where their right tire rides, especially on a road like this that has two lanes. Take this lane. You don't need to be way over here near the lane marker, but you need to be right here, taking off probably about a foot from the curb, right where their right tire rides. That's where, in a situation where you want to be. Most times that's where you want to be. And so you don't want to be darting in and out like she was doing. That's a bad idea. Now, when you come to an intersection, I try to mirror an intersection here. So you see this lane marker here. So let's say that's an intersection. Resist the urge to position yourself. I'm going to use a red marker here. I see some riders do that. They come to an intersection, they put their foot on the curb and they stand right there and they put their foot on the curb. Well, if there's another car behind you, what is he supposed to think? You're giving him a lot of room to pass you in your lane, and you don't want to do that. You want to discourage that. So if you're going straight, ideally, you want to either position yourself here where you've been riding or even here. I usually position myself here because our lanes in the Houston area are between 7 to 9 feet. And a lot of times at the intersection, if you position yourself here, we can turn right on red. And a lot of drivers really appreciate that to where, and I actually wave them through. So ideally, you want to position yourself here so that all the other road users know that you're going straight. So that if they need to turn right on red, they can turn right on red. That's the best thing to do. Your second choice is to position yourself here where you ride, but never go by the edge of the road by the curb, because then you're taking yourself out of traffic. If you're going to be in traffic, be part of the traffic. Ride your bike like you drive your car. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is by standing here and the light changes, you proceed. And what I usually do is I go across the intersection and I come over. I check, of course, to make sure no other road user is doing something stupid or risky that may want to sneak by you. But that's so rare, but you never know. So as I go across, I drift back and I position myself where you see this arrow. So if this is the lane you're using, you want to use this part of the lane. That middle part where it's a little dirty, I think the oil and stuff from cars, you want to be on the right side of that. Even when you're riding two abreast, ideally, use half of the lane. You don't want to be too close to this line. It just gives you more room as cars go by. You know, use half of the lane and you can still chat in a situation like this. Now, what I wanted to specify is don't, in a situation here, it's not that busy. It's not a very congested area. Yeah, that's fine. Even if it's busy, you have the right to use that right lane. You want them to pass you by going across this middle line so that as they come by, they're not passing you in your lane. You want to encourage that as much as possible. Now, after saying that, I want to specify that if somebody's doing something crazy, don't endanger yourself to assert your right to using the road. If you have to get off the road because somebody's doing something dangerous, go ahead and do that because your goal is to get where you're going safely. But generally, position yourself here. If you're going to turn left in this situation, you check before your left. Say this is your left turn here that you're going to make. When from here, you start looking back and get in this lane just like you would in a car and get on the left side of this lane so that they know, and then you position, you turn, you point, and so that the road users know that you're going to turn left. I mean, you can wait. Sometimes if it's not possible and you get over here, you're just going to have to wait till the car's clear to get over and turn. Okay, I mean, sometimes you may have to go this way, do a U-turn. I mean, you do whatever makes sense for the situation you're in. But generally, you shouldn't have too much problem if you check early enough and get over to turn because you want to ride your bike like you drive your car. It doesn't matter which direction you're going. I just drew both boulevards so you will see the situation. So when you have a situation where you have two lanes, take the right lane. Especially if you're riding solo, your position is real critical. Because when there's more of you, you're more visible. When there's just one of you, I mean, I use a light on the rear and then on cloudy days, I turn on my light in the front. But your position dictates everything because by placing yourself in the right position, drivers know your intent and then communicate with them. If you're going to turn right, point, communicate, look, do that. Communicate with the other road users. They appreciate that because there are a lot of cyclists out there that do crazy stuff. They run stop signs, jump off the curb. They don't check. So when I'm driving my car, I don't trust other cyclists either because I don't want to hit anybody. So I give them the benefit of the doubt. So drivers really appreciate cyclists that communicate what they're going to do and they'll let you in. A lot of times you come to a situation like this, if it's a stop sign, a lot of the drivers, when you come here and you slow down and they're here, they'll wave you through. Make sure you make eye contact before you go through. Make sure that it's okay. Even if you have the right of way, make sure they see you. Because a lot of times the biggest excuse is they didn't see you, like the Australians say, Smiths. Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. I kind of like that. It stays with me every time when I'm riding. So it reminds me to keep my eye on them. Because you're going to ride a lot, you need to ride safely. It just decreases your chances of problems. So I don't have problems with other road users regularly. Every now and then you run into some knucklehead. And your goal should be is de-escalate the situation and let that knucklehead go on. Now, if they try to endanger you and do something dangerous, worst case scenario, get the license number, you can file a complaint. It's a whole different attitude when you pull them into court, when they realize you didn't fall from some planet cyclone where you just showed up on the weekend to ride your bike. When they find out you're from here, it's a whole different attitude. But don't argue with them on the road. Always take out your phone, take a snapshot, say the license plate out loud so you can remember it. Take a memo on your phone, whatever, and you file a complaint. It is followed up, So just keep that in mind. Your goal is not to get into any confrontation with other road users that on the road. There's no point to that. You let the peace officers handle that. So the next situation I want to talk about here is the road that we use more often when we get outside of the city. This is I'm trying to replicate a double, line. I don't have a yellow marker, a double yellow, and then you've got the lane marker here. And these are usually rural roads. This line is going to be the white line I'm trying to show here. And then I put a little bit of blue to just show that that's a ditch or the gutter. So you don't have much room. These are between 7 or 8 feet. A lot of times they're pretty narrow. So when it's very narrow like that, just like I said on this side, you want to position yourself, because there's usually on the roads here, there's a little bit of a hump in the middle. They do that so that you can have runoff. But that middle part that the cars don't drive on usually has like some oil or whatever from cars, and there's usually a little dirty. You want to be right here. Now, that's your default position. I'm going to draw the arrow here. That's where you want to be. If it gets busy and cars start queuing behind you, as a courtesy, what I do, I look behind, I see them. When it's safe for them to pass, what I usually do when I see them, if somebody's impatient, I put my arm out like that so they can wait. They know I want them to know I know they're there. As soon as it's safe or it's clear, because sometimes you can see around a curve before they can or whatever, and if it's safe and it's clear, I wave them over, and then I drift closer to the line, closer to the white line as they come by. 99.99% of the time, they will pass you wide. When you wave drivers by, I have never ever seen them pass you close. So there's something about communicating with them, it just creates a lot of harmony. So keep that in mind. As you wave them by, as they come by, I drift over. And I just do that all the time anyway. Even if I'm not waving them by, as soon as I hear, that's why I don't ride with headphones or anything. I'm going out there, I want everything. I want my wits about me. I want to be able to hear. I frown on riders that have headphones on or whatever. You're kind of missing the experience. The whole point of being out there is to hear the birds and other things that are out there. You can listen to music at home. But on the road, I think it's just not a good idea to be listening. Now, if you have a radio or something on your bike that's just playing, that's different. I'm talking about having stuff in your ear. You need that. I can hear those cars coming from a good distance. And as they come by, I drift over to the white line. And then as soon as they go by, I come back over. But as a default, several things. Your position, you're more visible there in that little groove that the right tire makes. It's cleaner. You have very low chances of having a flat. That's the position you should be in. That encourages them to pass you over the divider line. A lot of drivers, especially around here, they pass an ordinance where you have to have 3 feet. The ones that are aware of it, they pass in this lane. They don't even straddle the yellow line. But by you positioning yourself here, it does not encourage them to pass you in your lane because there's not enough room. And that's the key. So the busier it gets, the more your position needs to be firm, and you make them wait. If you have to put your arm, especially when they're impatient, put your arm out. Now, if they start doing something crazy, your default is you get out of the way. Let them go. Get the license number or whatever you can, and you file a complaint. Don't go out there trying to be a hero or whatever. It's not worth it. That's not your reason for riding your bike. You're just going for a bike ride. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I wanted to cover that. So that's your default position. Do not ride all the way over to the right side of the white line unless there's a shoulder. If there is a shoulder, this road I drew did not have a shoulder. If there is a shoulder, yes, and it's clean and it's safe, you can ride to the right of the white line. So let's say this is the white line. Now I'm going to erase the board, and I'm going to draw a lane on a highway, a rural highway that has a shoulder, because it's important how you position yourself on those kind of roads. So let's say this is the middle line of the highway, okay? And this is the white line on either side of the road. Let's say this is the white line. And let's say some shoulders are about, I would say the smallest I've seen is maybe 2 feet. Some of them are narrow, some of them are wider, okay? Regardless of the width of the shoulder, you want to use the shoulder if it's safe. Some shoulder, the way they build them, especially around here in Texas, they got these little reflectorized bumps that they put on there. Now, I don't mind them so much, as opposed to you don't want to ride over them. They're just dangerous. I mean, it's like a washboard. It will tear up your wheels and it can cause you to fall. So if the shoulder's wide enough and those are there, and the shoulder is smooth and safe, I will ride on the other side of that. Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. You can get through them. You find a line, you get through them, you get to the other side, and you ride. So even on highways that don't have those reflectors on there. You do not want to go more than a foot to a foot and a half to the right of the shoulder. You don't want to be riding on the edge of the shoulder way over here. You want to be within a foot to a foot and a half because you want to be visible to traffic. You want them to see you. Okay? Plus, a lot of the debris that the cars blow when they go by ends up on the shoulder anyway, and it ends up further to the right of that spot. So you're better off here. So if the shoulder is safe, that's your judgment. You want to ride there because you're slower moving traffic, even though you have the right to use the road. If it's safe to use a shoulder, yes, use the shoulder. It's just better. But don't go all the way to the edge of the road, because not only is there a lot of debris, if your tire catches the edge of the pavement, it can cause you to fall. So use the shoulder if it's safe. If the shoulder is too narrow, then you use the lane. Okay, then you just act like there's no shoulder and you use the lane. Because on a road that is too narrow with a very small shoulder that you can't safely ride on, you're better off using a road than using that little narrow shoulder and let them go around you. Okay, so a lot of times, I'm going to summarize by saying you want to look for roads that are less traveled. Sometimes we take the long way. Most times we take the long way around because we're looking for roads that are not busy. Okay, I don't get on my bike to go sit in a traffic jam and compete with other road users. I go to get a workout. So we seek out roads that have that potential of low traffic volume, safe roads, smooth roads, few intersections. That's what we seek out. That's what we head on, and most cyclists do that. So I just wanted to cover that to let you guys know, because I've seen a bunch of people. I'm not sure what their skill level were. They were geared up and everything, but they were riding so close to the edge of the road that my biggest thing was the pedal might even hit the curb. That's another thing to think about. And I think they just didn't know. So you do have to ride your bike like you're part of traffic. And you do need to follow the traffic rules and the laws. You will get a ticket around here if a cop sees you breaking the rules. They'll write you a ticket. And if you're a jerk, they might just haul you off to jail, depending on how you react to them. So just keep that in mind. But it's just better that you become an ambassador and you show that you're serious about it. When you show that you're serious about it, the other road users take you seriously. So I just want to cover that real quickly today, being a holiday and everything. And I figure everybody will be out there riding, and it was on my mind. I just want to get it out. So share your experiences below, and add anything I may have missed, but I cover the main roads that we ride on. Most of it doesn't matter what roads you're on. You want to make sure you're safe. You're picking a position of the road that keeps you safe. You don't want to ride in dangerous. It needs to be, the law in the book says you should ride as far to the right as practicable. Some old world language. Translated loosely means as practical. You have to make your own judgment. If the shoulder is full of potholes and stuff, don't ride there. If the road has a lot of debris, don't ride in the debris. Use the best part of the road. Position yourself, But if you're riding on a road that has a lot of high-speed traffic, you might want to find a different route. Or if it has a shoulder, then yeah, you use the shoulder. Because I don't particularly care for cars that pass me at high speed very close, because they don't pay attention that much, and it doesn't take much for them to make a mistake. So I just wanted to cover that today. I hope you guys got a chance to get some miles in your legs. I was able to get out the last couple of days, Sunday and today, and beginning to feel like my old self again. So you guys, no matter what, get out there, get your miles in.